Then what? This yoga itself will progress. This karma yoga attitude itself will progress and lead us into that state of knowledge and also in the state of samadhi. And that process Bhagavan is now explaining further. He says, Karmajam buddhi yuktahi phalam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gacchantya namayam karmajam buddhi yuktahi phalam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gacchantya namayam. Bhagavan says buddhi yukta. Again, he is using the word buddhi for karma yoga. It is not about action, but about buddhi. So he says one who is endowed with this buddhi of samatva, then karmajam phalam tyaktva, he becomes free of the influences of the results of action. Then the results no longer bind that person. Because only when we are affected by the positive and negative, then it starts binding that person. Like in our childhood also, you must have noticed that some children used to get affected by our teasing. Then if they get affected, we used to tease them more. Because whatever we do, they used to get teased. But some people were not getting affected. Whether you call them good or call them bad, they were not affected. So when they were not affected, you could not do anything to them. Similarly, Maya or this world teases us by giving positive and negative result. And as long as we are affected by it, we will remain bound to the samsara. But the moment we become free of their influence over us, we will become free of this samsara. Our attention will move from the world and it will get established in our own self. So Bhagavan says, Karmajam buddhi yuktahi phalam tyaktva. So having dropped all the result, both punya as well as papa, by getting established in this attitude of samatva. Like it was shown by Bhagavan Ramchandraji, that he was Bhagavan's avatar only, but he had come here to teach us how to follow the path of dharma. So he was told that you will be coronated. Rajyabhishek will be done tomorrow. So be ready. So he said, yes, whatever pujas and whatever ritual has to be done, I will do it. So he was told. Then all those things happened, Kaikeyi, Manthara and all you know. Then again Ramchandraji was called. And he was told that there is a change in plan. And generally change in plan becomes little change in plan. Na? Instead of tomorrow, we will have day after tomorrow and all. But here it was not little change in plan. He was told that, no coronation tomorrow, but instead you will be wearing ordinary dress, not of a king, prince, and you will have to go to the forest and stay there for 14 years. 14 years, not 1 or 2 years. 14 years you will have to stay in the forest. Later on what will happen we don't know, but 14 years you stay. Then after 14 years you come back, let us see what will happen. But 14 years you have to go to the forest. When he was told this, there was no disturbance in the balance of his mind. He understood both the statements. The statement that I will be coronated was understood. The statement that I have to go to the forest was understood. The implication was understood, but there was no disturbance in his mind. It is said in the Ramayana that people were standing there and they saw him after he was told that he is coronated, he came out, and then later on he was going very serenely, and then he heard that he has to go to the forest. Again he came out of that room. There was no change in the quietude, in that serenity, in that peace, and in that prasannata which was there in his mind. Because his happiness did not depend on the world. That is called, it doesn't depend on the world. It is self-sustaining. It is independent of the world. And that is what Bhagavan wants us to experience. A happiness, a peace which is independent of the results of the world. And it is possible. It's our own nature. It is not something which is out of the world. It is our own nature. We have to give ourselves a chance. Believe, have faith in what Bhagavan is saying, and pursue this path and experience it. So, karmajam buddhi yuktahi phalam tektva. So, having endowed with this karma, this buddhi of samatva, a person becomes free of both papa and punya, and that leads to wisdom. Manishinaha. He becomes wise. He comes to recognize the nature of his own self. See, karma yoga, in the beginning, the focus is more on dharma, means what is right and what is not right. We have to follow what is right. First, the focus is on dharma. Then the focus comes on feelings. One should perform the action with dedication, with more emotion, with more heart into it. When that dedication becomes more important, then it is called upasana, wherein we consider our action as puja. When we consider that our action is offering to that Lord, that whatever I am doing is an offering to that Almighty, who is there in front of me in the form of this world, whatever I am doing is His puja. So when one's focus comes on that dedication, on that samarpan bhavana, then that same karma yoga graduates into upasana. Karma yoga itself graduates into upasana then. Then it's a greater joy. Then it is not just mechanically performing our duties, but there is more feeling into it. There is more heart into it. There is more love. There is more dedication. There is the experience of divinity. There is the experience of the presence of divinity in that. Then further, as we continue with our sadhana, our understanding of the presence of God becomes more and more clear. We come to realize that God is not only out there, but in here also. As we continue in our sadhana, the experience of the divinity is felt in the world and inside me also. The understanding on knowledge becomes more clear. So our karma yoga becomes endowed with knowledge. So karma yoga, upasana, then it itself get endowed with knowledge, deep understanding of our own nature. So manishinaha. At this stage, a person becomes more interested in spirituality, in contemplating on the scriptures, in attending satsang, in doing shravana, then manana. So through all this deep contemplation and reflection comes to understand what is the nature of one's own self. It becomes more clear. Who am I becomes more clear. So such a person who knows who am I is called manishi, wise person. Such a wise person, what happens? Janma bandha vinirmuktaha becomes free from the bondage of janma and marana also. Means becomes free from the bondage of this samsara, becomes free from taking birth again and again as a limited being, becomes free from this limited individuality, becomes free from being born again and again in different yonis or different forms. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Constantly one takes birth when one doesn't know one's real nature. So we are born as human being, animal, birds, plant. Constantly we take birth. Normally, once we are human being and we follow this path sincerely, we are born as a human being only. If we don't attain the ultimate goal, again and again we are born in different forms till we come to recognize our own self. But one who has recognized becomes free. So, janma bandha vinirmuktaha, being free of the bondage of birth, very well free. Vinirmuktaha. Muktaha means free. Nirmukta, vinirmuktaha. Very well free means completely free from all this bondage. Padam gachanti anamayam. He reaches that state of realization which is free from all impurities, from all evil, from all papa, from all limitation, from all disease, from all death, from all shortcomings. Free from all this, he reaches that state of liberation. So padam gachanti anamayam, comes to realize his own identity. Comes to realize his own identity. See, like sugar. The sugar can be seen in various forms, like crystal, like powder, or it can be made into various shape. But the essential nature of sugar is sweetness. Whatever be its shape, its nature is sweetness. But one who doesn't know that it is sweetness will be always constantly attracted by the form. I want it in the crystalline shape. I want it as a ball, or as a dog, or a cat, or a mouse, different shape. But one who comes to recognize its sweetness, then it knows that, oh, it is sweet, whatever be the shape, whatever be the form. Similarly, our outer form is different, but our essential nature is that Sat, Chit, Ananda, which has to be recognized. So that recognition or realization of ourself is called freedom, gives rise to freedom. So janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gachanti anamayam. He reaches that state which is free from all evil. So how exactly he reaches this state? What are the steps which happens? So that Bhagwan, very briefly, he mentions in the following two verses that how, by following this path of Karma Yoga, slowly he graduates into Upasana and Jnana and Dhyana and reaches the state of realization. Very beautifully. And the same thing will be explained in great detail in other verses, other chapters. As I said, the second chapter is a summary or a content of the entire Bhagavad Gita. So first Bhagwan briefly tells what he wants to tell, then he elaborately explains it in the rest of Gita, and then again he summarizes the whole thing in the 18th chapter. So let us see the verse number 52. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vetitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha yada te moha kalilam buddhir vetitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam. He says that